Hello, everyone. My name is Robyn Cavallaro. I'm a realtor here in the Villages, Florida. And today I am going to address this very sensitive subject right here. Sellers. Why are you losing money when you're selling your home? What to expect? And this is going to be a doozy because it's a very controversial topic here. But before I get started, I want to make sure if you are searching for a home here in the Villages, Florida, make sure you visit my website, robyncavallaro.com. You can begin your home search, and everything that you're going to find on Zillow and Realtor.com will be found on my website because it is a direct feed from our multiple list service. So everything that's available in the Villages will be on my website. You can search by specific location, like between the Sixes and south of 44. You can search by price. You can search by size. The only thing you cannot search is specific model, floor plan of home, because the MLS is built for the country. And if you put in courtyard villa, you're not going to find it, or fenced in home, you will not find it. And I get nasty grams all the time. You sent me a house I'm not looking for. And the system sends you automated messages based on most of the criteria. So if you're looking in the MLS, you want a pre-owned home, make sure you start on my website. All right, so one other thing, I'm coming out with a new book. I'm almost done editing it. It is an updated resource guide to buying, living, and selling here in the Villages, Florida. And it's packed with information. There's a lot of more material than in my 2022 or 23. I put one out. It'll be available on Amazon probably in the next couple weeks. So, all right. So first, sellers, if you are selling your home and you purchased it within the last, I'm going to say from 22, during COVID, I got bad news for you. You're probably going to lose money. I know. Somebody probably told you when you bought that new house, you were going to make money when you sold it. Well, in theory, sometimes you can. In reality, most of the times you cannot. So number one, the reason why you can't make money if you've bought it in the past couple of years is there's way too much to overcome financially for it to be profitable. And I'm sorry, you're going to hear some banging. Somebody's moving in across the street and the movers are there. So I do apologize for that. But when you purchase a home, whether it's new or pre-owned, you purchase it for X amount of dollars. Well, when you go to sell it, you have to pay transfer tax, which is 70 cents for every $100 of selling price. That goes to the county. It's not to the realtor. It's not to our broker. That goes to the county and it's transfer tax. You have to pay that. Also, there's title insurance. So now you have to guarantee to your buyer that you're giving them a home free and clear of title. Yes, I know you only bought it 2 years ago and they may have done title search. Now, when you purchase from the Villages, you have to purchase title insurance. They don't include it because they did the title search. They cleared it when they purchased the land. So if you wanted additional, you can purchase it. But if you bought the home within the past 3 years, you would get a reissue credit, but it's only about $500. So, and that can be $1,300, $1,400 to a couple of thousand. So now you're talking, let's just say, maybe on a $400,000 house, you're already at $5,000 between title insurance and transfer tax, roughly. Then you have to pay real estate commission. So you have to pay somebody to list it and you have to pay somebody to bring you a buyer. And that is typically, it's all negotiable, but what I'm seeing is between 4 and 5% of the sale price would go to both, the listing agent and the selling agent. However you all work it out, it's negotiable. Okay, I don't know anybody having a coronary because I said you can't negotiate. You can negotiate. But that's what I'm seeing. Some sellers are not paying commission, but I've come into one. Very, very few are not paying commission. If you're not going to pay commission to the realtor, you better price it appropriately because your home will be passed over by everyone because the buyer's not going to want to have to pay commission if the home is overpriced. They're not going to want to have to pay their buyer's agent commission. If you have questions about those things, I'm always a phone call, text, or email away. My number is up here throughout this entire video, and I leave it there because I want you to know I am accessible. I'm here to be a resource for you through this buying process because it is very complicated. It can be complicated and it can be confusing. So I want to be able to help you out with that. So if you're selling within the first 2 years, you have to overcome probably a minimum of $15,000. So will your home appreciate in a year or two? $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. If you bought the home and you made any updates to it, now you got to overcome that. So go into this, if you're selling within 2 to 3 years, expect to break even or take a loss. And then you have to decide how long you want that home to sit on the market and continue to pay for it. You know, because I've seen where we've priced it and then it's not moving and the sellers don't want to take a reduction. They're like, I can't afford it. But it's like, can you afford $2,000, $2,500 a month every month for 4 or 5 months until it sells to continue to pay to maintain it? So those are things that you need to decide for yourself and with your realtor how you need to handle that. But don't expect to make money. And I've told plenty of people, I got bad news for you. They'll call me, I just bought this house 2 years ago and I had a couple, they spent, I don't know, they paid $340 for a patio villa north of 466. And I told them flat out, before I even go over there, you're not making money. I'm like, you're going to take a bath on that house because of where it is and how much you spent. Those neighborhoods are bringing in $290. Yeah. So I could go in on a listing appointment and tell you anything, and it might not happen. I would rather lose a listing than overprice it, and then you be unhappy with me. Now, unfortunately, there's sometimes that we all agree the home is priced well, but for some reason it just doesn't move. We just don't always know why. There are always extenuating circumstances, and I'm going to get into that right now. It's the location. All right, I know a lot of you are going to have a heart attack here, but people come to me because I'm completely honest. All right, so if you bought a home that the turnpike's in the backyard or you're near a lot of power lines, I don't care if you have water in the background, but if people can see power lines and they can hear the noise from the turnpike, there's too much choice there. They're going to pass you right over. You are going to have to make that home extremely attractively priced to get any type of activity in it because you bought it cheap for a reason. Remember, the developer doesn't sell homes cheap for no reason. Okay, they sell homes at a discounted price because they can't get rid of them because they're less than desirable location, and you have to understand the location. Please don't come here and drink the Kool-Aid and then decide you buy a house and then a year later you're calling me, oh, that location's too far from everything. And I had this conversation with somebody. I said, I know. I tried to tell you that when you bought it, but you didn't want to hear it because you could buy it for $35,000 less than a pre-owned home that you were looking at. And now you don't like it down there because it's too far away. And what I'm talking about is that Lake County piece. There are a lot of people moving out of there because it's far away. Now, that location might be perfect for you. I had a pilot that needed a home and he needed to have easy access to the turnpike to get to Orlando Airport. That Lake County piece was perfect for him. So there is a market for everything, but in a less than desirable location, it's going to take longer to sell. And I'm being realistic, and I'm being realistic with you. Another thing that I've heard is They're building a golf cart path across the turnpike by 470. So if you've never been down here, do not believe that. They're building an extension onto the turnpike, but they would have to build about 4 miles of golf cart path just to get to Eastport. I don't see that happening right now until they start to build homes and commercial out towards the turnpike. Then it would be a natural progress to build the golf cart path out there. But don't expect that. You're still going to have to go up to Sawgrass, over the Bexley Bridge, and down to Eastport. So thoroughly understand the area that you're purchasing in and the value proposition that it brings if you think you're going to resell it. And famous last words, I'm not going to buy another house here. I hear a lot of people say that, and they end up selling their home not too long after, or whatever, a year or two, because they want something new. So just be really careful. Work with somebody who's not going to blow smoke up your you know what. I only speak for me. I've not turned people away. I tell people all the positive and negatives of a home when we walk in it, whether it's my listing or not, because it has to be the right home for you. Now, there are certain things that people can overlook. There's certain things that they can't. So just understand that a less than desirable location is going to be harder for you to sell. Marsh Bend Trail, I did a short over near that big power substation, and they built a bunch of patio villas and courtyard villas over there. And they're going for inexpensive, but I'm telling you right now, if you think you're going to resell that house, you've got another thing coming, because you will have to drop that price so bad. Because I'm pretty certain, and I said that in that short, when you walk in that house, you probably won't even need to turn the lights on, because that it's a substation, is right in the backyard. I mean, literally in the backyard. So look at your surroundings, be realistic. If that home works for you, it works for you. If that's all the budget you have and that's all your money will buy, well, it's perfect for you, because now you've begun the Village's lifestyle. But you have to be realistic about the selection of the home and the location before you make that purchase. So think about that. Next, let's talk about outdated homes, what needs to be done to them before you sell. Now, I tell every seller, before you're going to do anything, and this pertains to older homes, you need to update the roof, the hot water heater, and the HVAC before you start touching landscaping and interior, because the seller will look at those 3 items first. How old's the roof? How old's the HVAC? How old's the hot water heater? That's what I ask. And those are bigger ticket items. That's something that, if it's older, might need to be addressed before closing. Just makes it a little bit more complicated. So if you're going to invest any money in your home before you sell, roof, HVAC, hot water heater, address those. I've heard people say, well, I put landscaping in. Well, la-di-da. You got a 15-year-old roof. Nobody's going to want this house, even though your landscaping's gorgeous. Okay? Just think about it. What would you want to look for when you go to purchase your home? You know, you want a newer roof. You want a newer HVAC. You want a newer hot water heater. What's that going to mean? Or you got to price it really appropriately for somebody to come in and have to do that. But before you make any cosmetic updates, and cosmetic, I'm talking about flooring and paint and countertops, those things you want to leave possibly for the new buyer, because you don't want to spend a couple of $1,000s on flooring, several thousands, and countertops, when somebody might come in and not like what you picked. And then they'll either move on to the next house or rip it out after you already did it. That would be sad. So make sure that the roof, the HVAC, and the hot water heater are updated before you put your house on the market. It'll make it easier for you to sell your property and for more money. Trust me. Let's talk about new construction and a pre-owned home. And I know that you know what? I guess you all know the chief, This is one of his designs. Got this for, this is McClure is where my rental property is. And you know what? Not that this is an infomercial, but this is pretty cool. I bought this today over at, I was at Sprouts. This protein coffee, it's iced coffee, it's caramel, it's pretty good. And just mix it with water, cold water. I didn't have to put ice in it. Sometimes I want something sweet in the afternoon, and that's perfect. And it's high protein. You can get that on Amazon. And you can get the cups. These things he has in every village, town square, and different designs. This is a pickleball one. He's got a couple of other ones. So you ought to check that out, buyvillagetees.com. Hail to the chief. Thank you very much for shopping. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. All right, so new construction. All right, so, you know, they're building around Eastport. So sometimes it's hard to compete south of 44 because the new homes are a lot less expensive than the pre-owned homes. So you have to look at case-by-case basis, couple things. The new homes, and I'm not speaking for all of them because, you know, there's all different types of models. No rain gutters, basic flooring, basic countertops, no shower doors, no washer dryer, basic builder landscaping. And every new home builder put basic landscaping package. But you will update those things. So the pre-owned homes primarily will have something added to it, which makes it a little bit more attractive, might balance out that bond thing. So, you know, you really just have to work with someone you trust that can help point these things out to you and give you ideas about it. I am starting to see some of the pre-owned homes, though, selling for the prices of the new ones. So I know you had a couple courtyards that I've sold recently that the price is the same as the new ones. And, you know, I was out, this woman that I have been working with actually ended up building a home, but she took me over to a veranda that she liked. It was it was in the brand new section. And we were in the backyard and I told her, I said, do you hear that echo? And she said, yeah. I said, now, I know there's no furniture, but we're outside. I said, could you imagine every one of these homes, the echo? And when the people are outside talking and the echoing, because the homes, even in the verandas and the courtyards, seem to get closer to the wall. So just look at those things when you're buying new or pre-owned. I mean, that happens in the pre-owned homes too. Sometimes I don't think the courtyard and the veranda is always the best option. Depends on how close it is. I tell everyone you're going to get audio, but not visual. You're going to get visual, but not audio privacy. But yeah, you have to look at the new home. What is it giving you? What is it not giving you? And look at that pre-owned home because you're going to end up spending that money anyway. So maybe you just spend it up front and you just move in and have fun. And you don't have to worry about having to do any of those things. We talked about location. And let's talk about like empty homes versus staged homes or homes with furniture. Now, it's funny because some home buyers can get past your furniture and visualize the space for themselves, and some can't. So it's a split whether you stage a pre-owned or a vacant home that has no furniture in it or not. I will virtually stage photos for the listing just so people can get an idea of what will fit in there. But, sometimes if this, I know it's always declutter, but I'm not always a big proponent of actually staging the home just because, I mean, they look like they're staged. I always like the breakfast, the thing that they put at the end of the bed. I think it's crazy, but I don't personally stage the homes just because, just for this example, it's costly for the seller to have to pay for staging furniture, but it might not help you because somebody's going to come in, oh, I can't see my own furniture in here. So I'm not a big proponent of it, but you have to consult with your realtor to see what works best for you. So first impressions, obviously we talk about this. It's not ramping up your landscaping, just make sure it's not overdone and it's clean. Because if somebody like me walks up to a house that has a lot of trees and a lot of flowers and a lot, I'm going to go nuts because I hate that. I hate landscape. I don't want to stick my hands in the dirt. I just want it to grow. Okay. I just want it to grow and rainwater, I'll water it. And that's the end of it. But that's me. So, don't overgrow your house. Don't over landscape it because it could be a detriment. You need to, and I say you as the seller, market the home to the right buyer. So what do I mean by that? I break down our buyers here into 3 categories. We have the ready to move in, which we have the most of. Then we have a small update kind of guy, woman, person. They don't mind if they have to put in a new floor or maybe new countertops or paint, but they don't want to rip bathrooms apart. They don't want to redo a kitchen. They don't want major. And what I find with a lot of homes is that sellers will update the kitchen and then, I don't know, they leave the bathrooms. It's like, I'm done. I don't want to do the bathrooms. And it's like, okay, well, you half updated the house. So know your buyer. Then there's the investor. The investor is going to come in and gut the house. And most homes here are not priced for the investor to come in. Everybody thinks their home is worth a lot more than it really is. And for the most part, it's not. Sometimes we can bring the seller to an understanding that, this is who your buyer is for this property. And just because the home is clean and it looks good doesn't mean it doesn't need that mauve and green carpet ripped out. And the cabinets that you painted look like I painted it, won't need to be redone. So recognize the fact of what the features and benefits of your home are and market that home price-wise to that buyer. And I tell my sellers, this is where we are. This is a move-in house. This is a moderate, I don't want to say fixer-upper, because if you have a home that has maybe rolled vinyl and Formica countertops or laminate, whatever you want to call it, that might not be a big deal, and you can still sell it for a good price because someone still would move into that home. But if it needs a lot of work, and I've been in some real trash lately, and it's like, gosh, this house is so overpriced for everything that needs to be done. And in fact, I was in these 2 homes that were a disaster. They're I had the agent say, I thought your investor wanted a fixer-upper. I'm like, yeah, but not at those prices. Those homes are like completely trashed. It's like that everything needs to come out. And the one I was in yesterday, it's like, I don't think it needs a renovation. I think it needs a bulldozer. That's how bad this home was. And it's in the Villages. So, and this is owned by an investment company. I don't think they're necessarily in foreclosure, but the homes are a mess. So just know who your buyer is, know the features and benefits of your home so you can get that home sold. So also, I want to talk about, there's discussion about eliminating capital gains tax, which would be great. And it doesn't always just affect high-end homes. It's not like, that only affects people who are going to make $1 million on the home. It can affect anybody. But again, if you're selling, I had somebody say, I don't want to pay capital gains. They bought the house last year. I'm like, I wouldn't even worry about that if I were you. I would worry about how much of a bath you're going to take when we go to get an offer on this house. So just look at that. So that might be, if you aren't going to have to pay capital gains, you might be able to drop the price of the home a little bit because you don't have to worry about paying all that money to the government. So that's something coming down the pike. And if you follow the news, you might want to watch for that. Refusing to negotiate. That's the last point. Keep your options open to offers. Take into consideration. Now, what I do is when I go on a listing appointment, when we're going to come up with a price, I will give the sellers a seller's net sheet. This is what you can expect if we sold this home at this price. And then when we get the offers, I do the same thing. Here's a seller's net sheet. This is a rough estimate, not exact dollar figure. This is a rough estimate of what you can expect to get at closing based on this offer and based on this offer. So you know what you're going to walk away with. So it'll help you make a better decision when accepting an offer. All right. I think I'm going to get off of my soapbox now because I want to do one other video about should you rent before you buy. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode all about sellers. Why are you going to lose money when you sell your house? My name is Robyn Cavallaro. I'm a realtor here in Florida. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like this episode, I think you should hang out and check another one out. You might like it. All right, until next time, I'll see you.